My name is Sarah. I am 26 years old, and I want to tell you about the night I accepted a Snapchat request from a username called Mr. Cutthroat. I thought it was just someone trying to be edgy. I thought the worst that would happen was an awkward conversation. I was wrong. He had already been inside my house, and my cat was already dead. Subscribe before we get into this. Drop a comment telling me where you are watching from right now, because I have two stories tonight. Both of them start with a Snapchat notification, and neither of them ends the way I expected. Let me start with mine. I was waiting for the late bus home on a Thursday night. It had been a long week and I was tired, and I was not in the mood for anything complicated. I was scrolling my phone when a Snapchat ad request came in. The username was Mr. Cutthroat. I stared at it for a second. It was an unusual name choice, but unusual usernames are everywhere on social media, and I had seen weirder. I accepted the request without thinking much about it. Within a few minutes, he messaged me. He asked what I was doing. I told him I was watching Netflix at home. It was a lie. I was on a bus. But I had learned a long time ago not to tell strangers on social media that I was in transit late at night. He asked what I was watching. I gave him a vague answer. He asked if I liked scary movies. I said not really. He said I was probably watching the wrong ones. It was the kind of generic chat that fills up half the inboxes of anyone active on social media. Slightly annoying, nothing alarming. I was half paying attention to him and half watching the stops go by. And then he sent a message that made me put the phone down and look up. He said you should watch the movie where the killer follows the girl home and she has no idea. I typed back that I had never heard of a movie like that. What was it called? He replied with one word, "Your life." Then another message appeared immediately after it. It said, "That's not a movie title, Sarah. That's what's happening right now." I felt the cold move up my arms before I finished reading it. He used my name. I had not given him my name. My Snapchat username was not my real name. I typed back asking how he knew that. He did not answer. Instead, he sent another message. He said, "I thought you said you were home. Aren't you home, Sarah?" You're not home yet, are you? My pulse was going faster now. I looked up from my phone and scanned the bus. It was the late bus, nearly empty. An elderly woman, 2 rows ahead, looking out the window. A man in the back corner with a baseball cap pulled low, face angled down. The posture of someone sleeping or someone who did not want to be looked at. I watched the man in the cap. I sent a message to Mr. Cutthroat as I watched him keeping the man in my peripheral vision. I sent a message asking what he meant. The man in the cap did not move. No new message came for 30 seconds. Then one appeared. It said it's not him. I put the phone down on my lap and breathed carefully. He knew I was looking at someone. He was either on this bus watching me look or he was guessing. I decided he was guessing, playing on the paranoia he had already seeded. I told myself he was some bored, socially dysfunctional person who did this to women on public transit for the reaction. I told myself he did not actually know where I was. He was making educated guesses and watching me respond. I blocked the account without replying again. My stop came. I got off. The streets were quiet at that hour, mostly empty, my heels audible on the pavement. I walked the 3 blocks to my house, thinking about nothing except getting inside, taking my shoes off, and finding my cat. My cat's name was Toodles. She was 4 years old. She had the specific personality of a cat who has decided she owns everything in the house and is simply allowing you to live in it. When I got home, she was usually in the kitchen or on the couch or parked in the hallway waiting to be fed. I unlocked my front door, stepped inside, locked it behind me. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. I should not have answered it. I knew before I pressed, except that I should not answer it. I answered it anyway. The voice on the other end said, "So, you're finally home, Sarah?" I said nothing. He said, "Where's your cat? Have you seen her yet? You should check under your bed." I hung up immediately. I stood in my entryway and told myself this was impossible. He could not know where I lived. He could not know about my cat. He could not be inside my house. I told myself all of that, and then I walked to my bedroom. The bed sheet was not white anymore. I crouched down and looked under the bed. I am not going to describe what I found in detail. What I will tell you is that Toodles was there, and that whatever he had done to her had happened sometime earlier, and that he had not hidden it. He had left it for me to find. My phone rang again. I did not answer. He sent a text from the same unknown number. It said, "Now you know why my name is Mr. Cutthroat. I've been in your house. I know how to get in. Next time it will be you." I called 911 from the bathroom floor with the door locked. The police came. They went through the entire house. They found no one. They found the point of entry a back window with a compromised latch that I had been meaning to get fixed for months. They documented everything. I stayed in a hotel that night. I called my brother the following morning. Within 48 hours, I had moved out. My brother helped me pack the essentials, and we were gone in less than a day. I rented my house to a couple, both of them law enforcement, who wanted a cheap place close to the precinct. I moved in with my mother. The account Mr. Cutthroat was never successfully traced. The number he called from was disposable. The police report is open. I live at my mother's house. I have not lived alone since. I do not know when I will feel ready to. The thing that stays with me is not the phone call. It is the timeline. He had been inside my home before I got on that bus. He had done what he did to Toodles before I ever accepted his Snapchat request. He sent that first message knowing I would come home to what he had left. The whole conversation on the bus was not a threat. It was a countdown. He was watching me walk toward what he had already prepared, and I walked straight into it. The second story, my name is Felix. I am 28 years old, and I want to talk about a girl I met on Snapchat who I thought I was falling in love with, and about what she and her boyfriend actually wanted from me. I want to be honest about how this started, because the honest version is the only version that functions as a warning. I had been on Snapchat for about a month when a girl named Cheryl added me. She had a significant following. She was friendly and warm and responded to everything quickly. Over the following weeks, we exchanged photos regularly and found that we had a lot in common. Movies, music, the same sense of humor. She felt like a real connection. After about 3 months, I was starting to think about asking her to meet in person. Then one evening, she sent a selfie while she was cooking. I was looking at it and something in the background caught my attention. Through the kitchen doorway, you could see into the living room, and in the living room in the dark, there appeared to be a shape, a silhouette in the doorway of her bedroom, just standing there in the dark, oriented toward her. I messaged her immediately and asked if someone was in her house. She said no. She checked the photo again and said it was probably a coat rack or a piece of furniture. I said maybe, but it really looked like a person. She went to check. She came back and said it was just furniture and that she was embarrassed for being scared, and we moved on. I did not quite let it go. I kept thinking about that shape, the proportions of it, the way it seemed to be angled toward her specifically, but she said she was fine and she had checked, and what was I going to do? The next evening she messaged me when she got home from work, sent a selfie. She looked tired. I was in the middle of typing a response when I realized I had not heard back from her in several minutes. I went back to her selfie and looked at it more carefully. In the window behind her, there was a figure, not inside the house. Outside at the window, a person standing close to the glass looking in. The outline was clear enough that there was no misreading it. Someone was at her window watching her from outside, and she was facing away from it with her phone up and had no idea. I sent her a message right away, then another. Then I called. No answer. I sat there for several very long minutes, refreshing the chat and watching the last seen indicator. She was not responding. Then a message came in. She said someone had taken her. She still had her phone, but she was in a car and she was scared. She shared her location through Snapchat. She said she could see street names through the window, and she was sending me photos so I knew where she was going. I had friends at my apartment that night. I told them to call the police immediately and I ran. Looking back, I understand this was dangerous. I understand I should have waited. But in the moment, all I could think about was that a person I cared about was in a car somewhere nearby, and the police might not get there in time. I ran toward the location she was sharing. The photos she sent showed streets I recognize. She stopped moving after several minutes, and her last photo showed a narrow alley with a metal door at the far end. I found the alley. I found the door. I pushed it open. A voice behind me said something I will not repeat. I turned around. Cheryl was standing in the alley behind me, not afraid, not injured, standing with her arms crossed and a look on her face that I had never seen in any of the photos she had sent me. An expression that had nothing warm in it at all. She introduced me to the man who stepped out of the doorway behind her. His name was John. He was her boyfriend. He had been her boyfriend the entire time. Then John explained to me what they actually wanted. I am going to be straightforward about this so there's no ambiguity. Cheryl and John were involved in the trafficking of human organs on the black market. They had been identifying targets on social media. Athletic, healthy people, non-drinkers if possible. People whose physical conditions suggested their organs would be valuable. They had been doing this for some time. Their previous targets had been people with no support network, people who would not be immediately missed. I had a support network, which is the only reason I am standing here telling you this story. My friends at my apartment did not simply call the police and wait. They knew me well enough to know that I would do something impulsive. They pulled up Snapchat on my computer after I left and looked at the photos Cheryl had been sending. One of them recognized the alley in her final photo. He had grown up near there. They came, not empty-handed. I will not describe the details of what happened when they arrived. What I will tell you is that the police came very shortly after, and that Cheryl and John were arrested at the scene, and that they were not first-time offenders. Their prior record included robbery and an attempted murder charge from 2 years earlier. I was in a hospital for a short time. I recovered fully. I still believe you can meet genuine people online. I believe the connection I built with Cheryl over 3 months felt real because significant parts of her personality, the warmth, the humor, the shared interests were performed with skill rather than fabricated from nothing. She was good at this. She had done it before. What I carry from it is the photograph, the one she sent of herself at the window with the figure standing outside looking in. I do not know who that was. I do not know if it was staged to make the story more convincing. I do not know if it was John checking on her. What I do know is that I spent 3 months talking to someone every day, sharing photos back and forth, building something that felt like it was moving toward real. And the whole time she was looking at me and seeing something I did not understand. I was showing her. She was not looking at me. She was looking at my health. The third story, my name is Owen. I am 18 years old. And I need to tell you about 2 of my friends who disappeared on a school break night, and about what I found on their phones at the canal the next morning. Tyler and Ryan were 2 of my closest friends. We had been friends since middle school. During school breaks, we would spend half our evenings in a group Snapchat, just sending stupid stuff back and forth, playing games in the chat, running through truths and dares until somebody said it was getting too weird and signed off. That particular night, I signed off around midnight. I was tired and the game had gotten more intense than I was comfortable with. I put my phone down and tried to sleep. The group chat kept going without me for a while. The notifications eventually stopped. In the morning, I had a voicemail from my friend Nathan. His voice sounded off. He said Tyler and Ryan had not shown up that morning like they were supposed to. They were not answering their phones. He said they had gone offline somewhere around 1 in the morning, and he had not been able to reach them since. I went straight to Nathan's place. We tried both phones again. Nothing. But when Nathan checked the Snap map, Ryan's location was not showing as his house. His last active location was the canal. The bridge by the canal was a spot we went to regularly in the summer. It made no sense to be there at 1 a.m. in October. We went anyway. We found their phones under the bridge, both of them, lying together on the ground near the water's edge with their screens still on both batteries, nearly dead. Tyler's phone had a Snapchat notification. He had been added by an account called Simply 3. The account had sent him a snap that had already expired by the time I opened the phone. I tried to view it anyway, nothing there. I sent a message to the account asking if they knew where Tyler and Ryan were. A snap came back almost immediately. It was a photo of a room, dark, barely lit. In the far corner, you could see two shapes. I could not make out details, but the shapes were positioned in a way that looked like people sitting on the floor. The caption said, "Play the game." Then the account went offline and the username disappeared from the search results. I want to be honest about what I think happened, because the version that makes the most sense to me is not supernatural. It is worse than supernatural because it is real. Someone used a Snapchat account to lure my friends to the canal in the middle of the night. The account was new, the username was designed to seem like a game, and it worked because Tyler and Ryan were bored on a break, and it was 1 a.m, and their judgment was exactly what you would expect from two 18-year-olds at that hour. They went to the canal and they brought their phones, and at some point their phones were left on the ground by the water, and they were not with them. The police were called. The investigation went through the canal area, the surrounding streets, the area downstream. It took 4 days. Tyler and Ryan were found. I am not going to tell you the details of where or in what condition. What I will tell you is that they were found and that they are both alive, and that the recovery process was long, and I do not discuss it with them. The account called 3 was traced through platform data to a device that had been used before in connection with an investigation in another county. The people involved were identified. The legal process took over a year. I have not been to the canal since, not once. The thing I cannot stop thinking about is how straightforward it was. A new account, a username that sounded like a game. Two tired teenagers in a group chat late at night who clicked on something without thinking about it and found themselves somewhere they had not intended to go. That is the whole mechanism. That is all it took. 3 stories tonight. Sarah's cat was already dead before she came home. Cheryl spent 3 months building a fake relationship around one specific goal, and 2 of my friends followed a Snapchat notification to a canal at 1 a.m. because it looked like a game. None of them started dramatically. None of them announced themselves. They started with a notification, a username, a message at a time of day when your guard is down and your brain is tired, and the thing in front of you just looks like the next thing in a long sequence of ordinary things. The name Mr. Cutthroat is not subtle, but Sarah accepted it anyway because unusual usernames are everywhere, and there is no obvious harm in accepting a request, until there is. I do not know what the right version of caution looks like. I do not think it is refusing to use social media or treating every new contact as a threat. I think it is slower, more deliberate, paying attention to the small things that feel slightly off and not talking yourself out of them because you want to believe the most comfortable explanation. The man who killed Sarah's cat had a username that told her exactly what he was. She thought he was trying to be edgy. He was not trying to be edgy. He was telling her the truth and betting she would dismiss it. Most of us would have dismissed it too. That is the part that stays with me longest.